Let's talk about segment 1. You know, most of you have seen my show from April 7th, in which I talked about the November of 2015 interview with the Italian media, in which many of the Wuhan virologists and researchers did an interview and told them at that time that they were splicing the genes of the great horseshoe bat with SARS-infected mice. And they were doing it over and over and over again in order to facilitate an animal-to-human transmission. Now, I covered that on April 7th. However, on the same exact day, the most awesome, and I will say it, awesome documentary came out called Origins of the Wuhan Virus, and the great patriot Joshua Phillips. And in that, what he did, and again, it is truly a masterpiece, and I'm going to show you a little bit of it here in a little bit, but it is truly a masterpiece if you haven't seen it. But what it did is it helped even me connect more of the dots that I didn't even know about. I knew that it was created in the Wuhan research facility, but I didn't know the name of the doctor, and I didn't know who the doctor was and all that. That documentary, which by the way is 100% accurate, was able to pinpoint who that person was. And in the documentary, Joshua Phillips correctly identified Dr. Shi Zhengli, or Dr. Shi Zhengli, as the main culprit. Here she is in this image here. Now, what I'm here to tell you is Joshua is absolutely correct, and I'm going to confirm it for you right now. But before I do, go ahead and roll this clip.
Each of which contains important information. Since the SARS outbreak in 2003, Shi Zhengli has been conducting research on coronaviruses. From 2010 onward, the focus of Shi and her team was redirected to identifying the capacity for coronavirus transmission across species, specifically putting the spotlight on the S protein of the coronaviruses. In other words, her team's research in the Wuhan lab has been looking into the part that can make coronaviruses transmittable to humans. In June 2010, a team including Shi Zhengli published a paper. It describes research to understand the susceptibility of angiotensin converting enzyme 2 ACE2 proteins of different bat species to the S protein of the SARS virus. In the experiments, they also modified key amino acid convents to mutate the bat's ACE2 to examine compatibility with the SARS S protein. This paper demonstrated their awareness of the special relationship between the S protein and the ACE2 receptor. It also signified that Shi had unearthed the passageway for coronaviruses into human bodies. In October 2013, Shi and her team published a paper in the authoritative science journal Nature. They claimed a breakthrough in coronavirus research. What was their breakthrough? They successfully isolated 3 viruses from bats, one of which had an S protein that integrated with human ACE2 receptors. This effectively demonstrated the human infection of SARS-like viruses to humans without the need of an intermediary host. Then, in November 2015, Shi and her team at the Wuhan lab once again published a paper, this time in the British journal Nature Medicine. They discussed the creation of a synthetic virus, a self-replicating chimeric virus. This virus had the SARS virus as the framework, with the key S protein replaced by the one they had found in a bat coronavirus she mentioned in her 2013 paper. This new virus demonstrated a powerful ability for cross-species infection. The mice infected with this synthetic virus revealed severe lung damage with no cure. This symbolized that Shi's successful splicing of the SARS virus was a key to open the door to the cross-species transmission. What is startling is that these successful experiments on mice were only the tip of the iceberg. They planned to further experiment on primates. Although Shi Zhengli did not indicate any conclusion from this research, her move to research on primates suggests this was to more closely simulate the infection of humans with this new synthetic virus.
Now, here is the rest of that story. Dr. Zheng Li actually worked on the very beginning stages of coronavirus research with U.S. doctors. That's right, with U.S. doctors. These doctors, and their goal initially, working with the Chinese, was to do some research on these viruses to figure out and prevent, obviously, a pandemic or a chandemic as we are now witnessing. However, the Obama administration in 2014 stopped funding the program, pulled the Department of Homeland Security and Health and Human Services out of this program and decided that it was too risky. Okay? Now, this allowed the Chinese virologists led by Dr. Shi Zhengli to continue their research without any supervision or oversight of the United States and our doctors. Thanks, Obama. Really appreciate that one, too. Now, here is an official letter from the Health and Human Services talking about ending the funding for this program, as you can see here in this image. Now, after the United States involvement stopped, the Chinese Communist Party no longer had any oversight. They didn't have any supervision. And so what did they do? They kept on working on this research, and then they ordered Dr. Zheng Li to continue her research, which of course she did. Now, in a translated Chinese interview from 2017, Dr. Zheng Li reveals the truth and the goals of her research. And yes, it is frightening. She called herself a virus hunter. And as a virus hunter, she said that she would travel around the entire world looking for different types of viruses that have not yet infected human beings. We also learned that the SARS virus absolutely came from bats, and viruses that came from the bats require a host. And yes, not only SARS, but the coronavirus does as well. And who are those hosts? Well, you're looking at them. Us, Americans, people around the world, okay? Global citizens. She also said that the SARS virus in 2002 to 2003 was also detected from a bat, and that bat bit a civet cat, which was sold in the Guangdong markets. Now, what's interesting about the civet cat is that is actually an animal like a cat, almost like a, I don't know what would you call it, almost like a lynx, I guess. And what's interesting about it, and this is just a side note for, you science buffs out there, but they actually used to make perfume out of its anal glands. That's actually true. Now, I don't know what that has to do with bats and viruses, but that's what they said. The civet cat was bitten by one of these bats, and that was the first host, and it was sold at the Guangdong markets. Dr. Zheng Li then said something so evil and terrifying. In the lab where she works in Wuhan, China, okay, she has a room that she calls, quote, the mutation room. And inside the mutation room consists of living chimeric animals. Animals that have been mixed with multiple viruses in order to reach maximum potency. Chimeric animals, for you folks that don't know, are animals of different species and genetic buildup and makeup that are then fused together in a Frankenstein type of style. An example would be if you took a cat and a dog and fused them together, or a pig and a monkey, or obviously a bat and a mouse. So Dr. Shi Zhengli is basically the equivalent of Dr. Mengele of our time. And she sat there in that Wuhan research facility, and she kept working and working and splicing genes until she figured out how to get animal to human transmission. That is the full story and the truth about the origins of the Wuhan virus. We have a rogue nation in China that is not only out for world domination, but their number one target is to destroy America. And clearly, this was done on purpose. This was not done by accident. This is, in my opinion, firing the first shot. This is a declaration of war. And our Congress and our president and our nation must fight back. Now, in another video that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and again, if you're new to this program, when I say I'm going to get to the next story, it means that they'll be dropped in subsequent days. Well, I have another story that says that not only is the United States finally waking up to the sleeping dragon, who is now wide awake, but so is the global community. And the mass exodus from China could be on its way very soon.